Hey y'all, it's Ryan.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we celebrate all things Pride with our trip report from Walt Disney World for Gay Days in the parks. As always, we discuss the latest in Disney news and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick, I don't need a man, but I can have a man if I want a man. Kazuki.
Aw, Ryan, Rainbow Connection, Tucker.
Oh, I love that.
You are the Rainbow Connection, I feel like, on our podcast.
Oh my gosh, that is such an honor. Killing JT,
Aw.
sorry about you, but that is
Sorry about it.
honor.
Oh, I love it. Ryan, how are you? What's going on?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, life feels good. I feel like there's a certain level of justice that's being served right now in the news that makes me feel a little relieved as to some of the most recent things that have been happening. I'm trying to keep that as general as possible, but it sounds very pointed.
Yes.
But I'm doing pretty good, you know?
I love that, yeah.
The sun is shining, the tank is clean, my lights are on, I'm fed, and I'm also drinking a cab sav, so I can't be too mad.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. A cab sap. It's hard for me to drink red wine during the summer. There's something emotionally that I can't get behind with red wine in the summer. I don't know what it is, but you do you. I celebrate you.
Yeah, thank you. I totally get that. If I was like outside right now, I would definitely not physically be able to drink red wine, but I'm like in my apartment and I keep it really cold in my apartment. Like I have a sweatshirt on. It's green for those who are visual, specifically a muted olive.
That's right.
And so whenever I'm inside my house or inside my apartment, I really like to have a little glass of red, get my Olivia Pope on, you know?
Oh, you better.
Yeah.
I love when she drinks those from those big long stemmed glasses.
Yes.
Delicious.
In her entirely white condo. And it's like, how do you have so much red wine and so much white? Like,
I know. With all that red wine and the big bowls of popcorn that she eats, it's just she's a treat, a visual treat.
We need her. We need a renaissance of Olivia Pope. We need her to come back.
I think you're right.
Like she's happy. She settled down with Fitz. She has kids now, but then she gets called back into the line of duty.
I like this. I like this journey for her. We're celebrating all things Pope on this episode, I think.
Absolutely. Now, with that said, if you are a current person and you're not like me living in 2014, you probably have no idea what we're talking about, but we're referencing the show Scandal by Shonda Rhimes. But that's also not what this podcast is about. So
it isn't. It really isn't. It really isn't. I want to reflect a little bit on what you were saying. Like, yeah, I think we're in an interesting time right now. I'm emotionally like, we had some big wins, like you said, and this being like Pride Month. Happy Pride, by the way, to all of you and to you, Ryan. Things are looking up. We're not nowhere near out of the woods, but I feel like some of these wins that happened recently, and even we'll talk about it in the trip report upcoming, but like I just feel emotionally cleansed right now a little bit. I'm in such a better place than I was before. All of these like news stories that are coming out and the experience that you and I had in Orlando for Gay Days, I just feel like I hit the reset button and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling the joy again. So thank goodness. Let's keep that momentum up, folks.
Truly. I think that the epitome of our weekend that we had together is the epitome of what you're hearing people say on social media right now of log out and go touch grass. Because you and I logged out and we touched hub grass, and I do truly feel so much better.
We logged out in many ways this weekend, and it was great.
Yeah, we sure did.
I wasn't available at some point, and so I was like, Patrick's not here anymore.
Yeah, no, Brian's not here. I logged out, and then I impulse purchased a Quirksicle. Like, that's what happens
adorable,
when you're
though.
double fisting margaritas out of La Cava. So
things happen. We'll dig into all of that at the trip report later on in the episode. But what do you say we celebrate some of our Tweedles, Ryan?
Absolutely. Let's jump into some Tweedles. So as y'all know, every week we love to ask our Tweedles what they're celebrating. And so we had a few submissions. So I'm going to kick it out with run.dive.jwr, sharing that marathon training is beginning. So excited for you. Ooh. Let's go marathon.
Very exciting.
Interested to see kind of like, are you doing the dopey? Are you doing the goofy? Like, be sure to follow up and let us know if you're going big. I mean, well, doing a marathon is going big, period. But let us know some details. What race are you running? We want to hear all about it.
Yeah. Oh, and is this your first race?
Yeah.
Or is this one of many that you've already done? Moving on, we have our pride and joy at Sean Cruz saying, marching with Disney at LA Pride. You better march. Come on,
Sean. I love that. Mm-hmm. Sean's always killing it. Always.
He's always marching in a pride parade of some kind, I feel like. Just every day. Mm-hmm.
At Donovan shares that my boyfriend Peter and I went to Paris for our vacation and were so enchanted by the city that we decided to get engaged together on the Seine. Am I saying Seine correctly?
I think it's the Seine, but I don't know. But listen, your history with Paris pronunciations is my favorite. It's my favorite.
Listen, the way that after the last episode came out that I was on it, everybody was like, the Louvre, Ryan.
The Louvre.
I can't help it, y'all. I never took French. That wasn't an option at my high school. Anyways. Before heading to Disneyland Paris as fiancés. Congratulations, Donovan and Peter. We're so excited for you. Oh, we are getting married.
I see what you did there. I see what you did. He does have more to say, Ryan. He
does, doesn't he? I wish I could read, too. I apparently can't speak French or read. Our favorite moments at the park were feeling like true tops on Hyperspace Mountain and bottoming for the wild and unexpected drop on Crush's coaster. Oh, my gosh. We also loved the drone show portion of their nighttime spectacular while we watched sipping champagne on Main Street. Shout out to Chris from Wishful Thinking for helping them plan their trip. Yeah, lots of comments here. Based on my personal experiences, Disneyland Paris, I would also agree. I felt it's very similar. I can't say anything about Crush's coaster, so I can't say how I would feel within myself, on Crush's coaster. But Hyperspace Mountain really is that Dom top, if you will.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I'm excited to go on it. Next year, I think I'm going to be there in Paris in Disneyland.
Oh, exciting.
Very exciting. But congratulations, boys, on your recent engagement. We love to hear it. Right, Ryan?
We love to hear it.
No, we love to hear it.
Oh, we love to hear it. Yes, I missed it the first time.
There it is.
There it is.
That's why I had to serve it up again. I was like, no, we can't let this pass by. Moving on, we have at MDGRA09, MDGRA09, I'm just going to say it that way, saying all of the kittens I'm fostering found their forever homes. FUR forever homes. Congratulations. That's adorable and lovely. Good for you.
Patrick, when I tell you I am on the precipice of adopting a cat. I want one so bad.
Oh, you should do it.
I have to get my life together just a little bit more before I adopt one.
Okay, fair.
But I really want one.
Kittens are so much fun. Cats are great. Old cats are horrible to have. Yeah. That's what I'll say. Yeah, that's my only something to think about.
Yeah. My dog passed away way back in August, and I don't know if I'm ready yet to have like another animal. But I feel like it would just do so much good for me. So maybe we'll warm up to it.
A little companion cat.
Yeah. Anyhow, so moving forward at Otterzaddy, signing our lease to move to Orlando. Patrick, my friends Jason and John are moving to Orlando. I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for like the past year. They're picking up from California, moving across the country to Orlando. And I think they're absolutely gonna crush it.
That is such a big move. Are you at liberty to say why the move? Is it a job relocation, or they just wanted to move?
I think that
to be near you, I imagine.
I'm going to say probably to be near me and my sparkling personality and my great sense of humor and my great pronunciation of the French language. But I think that it was just like a move. They were ready for a change.
I love that. Ooh, that's a scary moment. So congratulations to you. That's true bravery if you'll like to just pack up and leave.
For sure.
Moving on, we have at Danko Direct saying the end of the bloody school year. Oh dear. It may not have been a great school year for you, but thank you for your services as an educator.
Yes, thank you. Shout out to everybody who was an educator this year and especially over the past 3 years. Can't imagine kind of everything that you've been through, the roller coaster of teaching completely remotely in the midst of global chaos to transitioning into hybrid teaching to be teaching now, and everything that you and your students have gone through. We can't say thank you enough. And shout out to y'all for surviving another school year, especially under all of these conditions. I hope that you were in a pool somewhere. Like a pool with like a Sonic Route 44 sized beverage of your choice, whether that be alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
I like it. Yes, we do. We celebrate all of you.
Mm-hmm. And then last up, P Johnson 5005. Ooh, I like that. That just like it hit.
I do too.
Like P Sherman 42 Wallaby Way. I think that's why
just gonna say
so good. Yeah. Family is back from Disney. Oh, Kingdom and Kingdom per your suggestion.
I think it's a reference to Kale and I's last episode's Quick D, where we renamed the kingdoms to Kingdom was Magic Kingdom, and I think is Animal Kingdom.
Oh, I mispronounced that too. So it's
I mean, listen, how are you to pronounce RRRLLLL? You did your best.
I'm not hooked on phonics today, y'all. I'm not hooked on phonics.
It's all that wine that you're having.
It's
right
probably
now.
the cap.
I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. I appreciate it. Well, thank you everybody for sending in your celebrations. A nice mix this time around.
Yeah. What, Patrick, are you celebrating anything this week?
Am I celebrating? You know what? I am. As of when this episode drops, I will have been to our family cabin for a family reunion with a lot of Dan's side of the family. And one of those family members is actually Jo, one of our Patreon tweetles. So I will see her this weekend.
I hope you have some beautiful, amazing quality time in forest and cabins. And I'm manifesting all of the balsam smells for you.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you. Are you celebrating anything fun this week?
I am celebrating getting paid tomorrow. Let's be real.
Okay.
The inflation is inflating. And when that direct deposit hits, I'm going to play Just Got Paid by NSYNC and do a little booty dance in the street.
In this economy?
In this economy, listen, you got to celebrate where you can.
100% that. Well, let's move on, Brian. We have a really lovely email from one of our listeners whose name is Luca, who wrote into us. And I have to say, I read this while I was at Pride with you. I just was standing in line and reading through the emails, and I got a little teary-eyed because I just love when people send us these just wonderful moments of joy. So Luca wrote to us saying, "Hello, I've been wanting to write in for a while, but I've been a bit hesitant. I say a while, but I've only been listening for a couple of weeks. Ever since I listened to Patrick and JT express how much they enjoyed the music of Frozen 2, I knew I'd eventually have to write in. I love your podcast. I am definitely a Disney gay, and I feel like I finally found my people in listening." I love to hear that. "I started at the beginning, but admittedly jumped ahead when I saw that Adam was leaving and was nervous that the show had already ended. I was so glad to hear that you did continue, even though I miss hearing Adam. I have enjoyed all of the new hosts and can't wait for more." Luca goes on to say, "I'm caught up in the latest episode, but am still listening back to the earlier episodes, getting close to Onward and COVID, and I feel a bit nervous knowing what has transpired since January 2020, but I'm going to keep going." Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, Luca. They go on to say, "I hope it's not too creepy, but I created a new account specifically for Disney stuff and followed you all, hoping to post my Disney content, mainly my virtual Run Disney event progress. Thanks, Patrick, for the inspiration." You're welcome. "My other profiles just didn't seem right for following you on those. Anyway, I'll end with and I'm celebrating leaving my somewhat toxic job and moving to where my boyfriend and most of my friends live, moving in on the 19th. Bye for now. Looking forward to the next book chosen for gays. Read the D, Luca. I love that. Thank you, Luca, for sending us that. It's so wonderful to hear where all of you are in your journeys with our podcast. It's just inspirational for us to keep going.
What a sweet message, Luca.
I know.
I share some similar, this is not to just like, blow smoke, Patrick, but I share very similar sentiments. Like whenever I first started listening to your podcast, with you and Adam, I say ours. But when I started listening to our podcast, when it was just you and Adam, it was what really inspired me to invest more time in the Disney community and has now led me to some of my best friends today. So it just goes to show that the work that this podcast does, what do they say on Drag Race? Bringing families together.
Bringing families together.
So, but that's awesome, Luca. Welcome to the family. Super excited that you're here. Congrats on all of your Run Disney stuff. And also a huge congrats to you leaving your toxic job. You did what Beyonce says, leave the job and break my soul. And I hope that your move goes so smoothly.
Oh, I express all of that 100%. Yeah. It's true. Some of the best friends I've ever made are because of this podcast. And so we have brought together this wonderful, I love to hear these stories of these communities coming together because of what we're doing here, whether or not we're personally involved in all these new friendships that are happening. I love to hear that they are happening and that everyone's connecting with each other. It really warms my heart. So thank you for letting us know and keep writing in, Luca. We are happy to have you as part of our family.
Come through, Luca.
Come through. I love that. Well, before we get into Disney history and then the news, we have a new trailer to talk about. I didn't even expect this to drop so soon, but the new trailer for the upcoming Pixar movie Elio. Is it Elio or Elio? I think it's Elio.
I think it's Elio.
Yeah, Elio, I believe is the spelling, is a new Pixar movie. They just dropped a really interesting trailer. The movie's not coming out until spring of 2024, but we just watched it. Ryan, what were your thoughts on it?
I'm so excited, first off. It looks adorable.
Yeah.
It looks like Lilo and Stitch on steroids. I'm ready.
Interesting. Like maybe in reverse, like Lilo and Stitch in reverse. Oh, yeah,
like in reverse, like maybe opposite. Yeah, that's
I like that. I like that take on it. Yeah, well, okay, I have to say, first I was excited because I feel like you put something into the atmosphere and it's coming back to us because we have this brand new story that we haven't seen before with only a cast full of BIPOC individuals and then like aliens who are non-white folks. And like the first person you see is this beautiful black woman like in NASA or something, or maybe somewhere. And I'm just like, okay, Disney and Pixar, you better come through. This is amazing. Very interesting to see. So that's great. These wonderful new original stories with a very diverse cast is really fun to see.
I am personally so excited. I think that something that Pixar has been doing a really good job of throughout the course of the pandemic has been releasing new stories centered around new areas that they've never done before. And so I'm really hoping that Disney kind of matches that too. I'm tired of remakes. I'm good. Outside of The Little Mermaid, I will say that I could watch that a few more times, but I'm good on remakes. I want some new original content, which I know that Disney's putting out Wish, but Elio looks so adorable.
So adorable.
Very interesting to see that Elio has an eye patch. I'm wondering if they're going to acknowledge that at all and talk about it, or if it's just going to be just a seamless part of the story.
Agreed.
So that's really exciting too.
Super exciting. My takeaway, interestingly, like outside of I'm excited for the story, I'm definitely more excited about this than I was excited about for Elemental, which is coming out, I believe, this weekend as this podcast drops. And I'm still not attached to Elemental. I still have no idea what it is. I'm not necessarily, it doesn't look like it's going to be up my alley. Pixar always surprises me though. But I'm immediately drawn to this new trailer of Elio. Like I'm already fully on board with it and I know next to nothing about it. So I'm interested to know why the big juxtaposition from Pixar, you know what I mean? I wonder, and why did they drop it before Elemental even comes out? You know what I mean? They don't usually do that. They usually kind of give it a gap, but I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. That is a great point. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that Disney did announce like a bunch of rollbacks, which we'll get into in just a little bit in the news. And I wonder if Disney was like, yes, all of these things are being rolled back, but you're getting so to spring 24.
That's an interesting point. I like it.
So that could be it. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Something that I did think of, Elio's little voice is so cute, and it made me think Jacob Tremblay has finally hit puberty, so they had to get a new kid, a new it kid to be, the new Haley Joel Osment. Maybe Haley Joel Osment was like our Jacob Tremblay,
right?
But I'm very interested to see what this little actor does and what the story is actually about. Something that I think Pixar movies just do such a great job of is not giving away any of the story. Usually the story in a Pixar movie, how it actually goes, is the complete and utter opposite of what I think it's going to be from the trailers.
100%, yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see how this rolls out.
Yeah.
I'm pumped, personally.
Same, absolutely same. So that, like I said, drops on sometime in the spring of 2024. We don't have an exact date yet. But, I mean, that was a fully realized trailer if I've ever seen one. So I'm excited. Well, moving on then, last but not least in our banter before we get into the news, are you ready for some herstory lessons, Ryan?
Give me the herstory. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Buckle up. We have a birthday first. 47 years ago, on June 21st, 1976, Dan Scanlon was born in Clawson, Michigan. So Scanlon started his career with Disney as an animator for Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World in 1998. He was then a storyboard artist for The Little Mermaid 2 in 2000 and 101 Dalmatians 2 in 2002. I'm sensing a theme here. He went on to join the Pixar team and was a story artist for Cars in 2006 and Toy Story 3 in 2010. He then co-directed the short film Mater and the Ghostlight in 2006, and he directed and wrote Monsters University in 2013. Now, his most recent project was for a 2020 Pixar film, which was one of the last movies to hit theaters before the pandemic. Ryan, do you want to guess, or do you know what that film was?
Was it Onward?
It was Onward.
Oh,
look at you. I forget about Onward. I think we talked about this before. Like, I feel like it got swept under the rug for me personally.
Yeah, I loved it. Granted, Onward was a movie that specifically was made for people like me, and it hit. It was like a formative movie for me now. Like, I wish that movie would have came out for me whenever I was a child. It would have changed the whole trajectory of my childhood.
I feel like we should revisit that movie for the podcast, or maybe do it as a group watch thing for our tweetles, I feel like because it hit in such a weird time that we did review it, but then all of a sudden it just went away because the pandemic hit moments after it was released. So
if you would like to do a take two on it, let's just say I will probably sob on the recording. So if you have a thing for listening to people ugly cry, I got you.
I do. It's my kink, actually, is watching people ugly cry. That took a weird turn. It's the Pride episode, everybody.
It's the Pride episode.
Oh, dear. All right, moving on then. On June 20th, 1941, 82 years ago, on this date in Disney queer history, I have to say, Disney released, I'm going to give you a little test here, Disney released its fourth feature film. It's a live-action and animated film featuring Walt Disney himself. Ryan, any guesses of what this film might be?
And this is queer history.
This is queer history.
Fourth movie Disney ever released.
The fourth feature film they ever released.
And
so
Walt
way
Disney.
Early.
Fourth featured animated film, and Walt Disney himself is in it.
Fourth feature film, regardless of what style it was, because this was a mix between animation and actually live action.
Is it Mary Poppins?
It's not. It's not Mary Poppins. This was way before that. This was in 1941.
Oh, 1941. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. It is the gayest dragon of them all, the Reluctant Dragon.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen the Reluctant Dragon.
A lot of people haven't. I talk about it quite a bit, but a lot of people haven't seen it yet. It is the queerest short I've ever seen in my entire life. I implore all of you to do some Pride celebrations while watching the Reluctant Dragon, because it is queer herstory if I've ever seen one.
I know sometimes I feel reluctant in my choices, so I'll check it out.
Fair enough. So the film is premised around a man. This is the live action part of it. A man who's going to meet Walt Disney himself to pitch an idea for a cartoon based on Kenneth Graham's book, The Reluctant Dragon. So alongside the title animation, The Reluctant Dragon, the film also features the shorts Casey Jr., which is the Casey Jr. train that we all know very well, Old MacDonald Duck, and How to Ride a Horse. Now, a couple of fun facts. This is the first Disney animated feature to incorporate extended live action footage. So, like I said, when they use both mediums, it's the first time Disney ever did that. And it is the only theatrical release ever to feature Walt Disney himself in a movie.
So interesting. I did not know that.
Super. I didn't know that either. I assumed that he had been in something else, but apparently not so much true. So there you have it. The Reluctant Dragon.
The Reluctant Dragon. I'm going to look that up tonight.
You should. It's really cute. The short itself, I think you can skip the full movie, but the short, The Reluctant Dragon, I recommend everyone watch it. It's really,
is that where the gay stuff is?
Short. So gay. Absolutely gay. That dragon is the gayest thing that's ever happened.
I'm ready.
Well, that was this week in Disney queer history, I guess. What do you say we move on and dive into the news?
Let's do it.
Let's do some news. News. Ryan, are you ready for some news for your nerves?
Tell me what's in the news.
I shall.
That was my Cretchy impression.
And it was glorious.
Thank you.
Oh, goodness.
And for the toilet.
Oh, my God. Pips for the newsboys. Coming right up. So as per our new usual with the news, we're trying this out, seeing how it works. We're just going to read the headlines, discuss some of the bullet points, and have a chat about the news instead of the stories we've been doing before. So the first headline, Ryan, we're talking about right now is that the first ever open world Star Wars game was announced at the Xbox Showcase this 2023. Are you a gamer, Ryan? Are you much of a gamer?
I'm a light gamer. Like, we're talking like Animal Crossing. Like, I'll catch a couple fish and like pick some apples. Do I know how to shoot anything? No.
Not so much.
Is my favorite part of any game building my avatar? Absolutely.
Absolutely that. I'm in the same boat as you. If it's too much for like a 12-year-old to do, then I probably am not going to have much interest in it.
Yeah, if I gotta hit L and R and X, A, Y, and B, if I gotta hit the whole alphabet, I don't want to do it.
No, I've had a cocktail. I've had maybe a gummy. I can't mess around with all these bells and whistles. I'm the same. I'm the same. And my attention span is very short, so I can't get invested in a long-term game, I feel like.
Absolutely. I miss the day of like Super Nintendo when you only had 2 buttons. Like if you had to hit both of those buttons at the same time, okay, cool. Let's get a little spicy.
Fair.
But if you want me to have a rumble pack and you want me to play with people online, I don't even know how to do that.
I do like a rumble pack. I'm not going to lie to you, but that's a whole different story. So let's
pride.
Pride. Ding, ding, ding. Pride. All right. So this new game is called Star Wars Outlaws, which, as I said, will be the very first open world Star Wars game, which I don't know how better to explain it. It's basically the World of Warcraft, I guess, if you know what that game is.
Okay.
That you just sort of, it's a continuous gameplay that you're playing with other people. There's new activities to do all the time. So that's everyone's yelling at me right now of like, that's not what it means, but that's what it means to me. So
that's all that matters, Patrick. That's
all that matters.
Our podcast, so we could just say what we want.
We do what we want. Pride. #pride. So the game apparently takes place during the era of the Galactic Empire, but it focuses more on the criminal underworld, which is kind of interesting. The game is a collaboration between Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment, both of which worked on the Assassin's Creed gaming world, if you are familiar with them. And the game, Star Wars Outlaws, is set to be released sometime in 2024. So it's exciting. I don't know if I'll play it. Maybe I'll take a peek at it, but I'm not necessarily an open world game player. But a lot of people are really excited about this. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I've never owned an Xbox.
Fair enough.
But I do think that this is really exciting as we jump into more open world games. Some of my favorite parts of Star Wars storytelling is from the criminal underworld. Like I do love Hondo Anaka and, you know, all of that. So I would be really interested if they ever release it on Switch. Count me in. But until then, I'm not buying an Xbox for it.
I do like a soft criminal, right? Like you like soft
we love
spooks.
a soft criminal.
Like a soft criminal. That's where it's at. Absolutely.
I like that. Just like a little bit of money laundering. Nothing too crazy, you know?
Right. Exactly. Very that. I was reading a little bit about this, and I heard that some people are speculating that it's possible that some of the characters they'll create for this could expand into Galaxy's Edge within Disney World and Disneyland. And there might be, and this is just absolute rumor, but there might be some link of like how your character performs in the game could potentially have benefits within Galaxy's Edge as well. Like you can maybe do other things that people who don't play the game aren't able to do. So more to come from that, but that would be really cool. Yeah, super immersive.
I think that would be really great, especially, you know, there's a lot of characters that haven't gotten movie recognition just yet in Galaxy's Edge, such as Vi, Vi is, I'm the one that's always talking about D&I. Vi is a Black woman.
Yes.
And so I think that this would be a really great opportunity to introduce Vi into the video game as well, considering the fact that she already exists on Batuu as well.
That would be amazing. Imagine the possibilities of like if you create a character for this game and if you were able to upload it, say, right, to your My Disney Experience or to your Magic Band, and then some of the characters in the parks or the cast members would refer to you as your character's name if they, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
That would be really cool.
Like, I doubt that they'll keep the Star Cruiser open after this, but if you play on the game, that you can get your clothes that you wear on the game if you're staying at the Star Cruiser.
Ooh, that would be cool. Although, that's
very,
closing
very cool.
in September, so that probably they're probably just like, we're not going to worry about it right now. But that would be cool.
What do you think they're going to do with all that space?
That's a whole conversation. Who can say?
I have so many questions.
I
feel like they have to turn it into like a maze or like a house, kind of like Halloween Horror Nights or something.
Can you imagine like a Disney escape room situation or something like that? That would be
take my money.
Incredible. Oh, I love it. All right. So what is our next headline, Ryan?
Yeah. So next headline is the Indiana Jones Den of Destiny's debuts at Hollywood Studios. So now open in the previous indie gift shop near 50's Primetime, the lounge includes props, photos from the upcoming film Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and a full bar with standing tables. Alcoholic drinks include the Adventuress Margarita, the Weathered Fedora, alongside the non-alcoholic La Atlantique green tea. Prices range around $14, scheduled to open through August 15th or until Disney figures out something else to do with it. Tweedles on the ground. Kevin reported back just this weekend was underwhelmed by the offering. So small space with a few scattered tables and chairs. I also will be a Tweedle on the ground. I'm going to Hollywood Studios this Sunday, which I guess will be the previous Sunday by the time this episode drops. But I will also report back and let you know what my thoughts are too.
Yeah, let us know. And Kevin happens to be your friend Kevin that I met on this previous trip. Yeah, Kevin. Kevin! Yeah, he happened to be there the day that I think he and I were chatting about it, and I said, hey, have you seen this? And he said, well, I'm in Hollywood Studios right now. Let me go take a look for you. And though it sounds exciting with with the tie-in to the new movie that's coming out, and there's a bar there that it wasn't more before, and he was like, it's literally just a bar with a couple of tables and some props from the movie. So it's nothing, apparently it's not that exciting. It's just Disney amping up anything at all that's new in the parks right now. So check it out if you want to. Let us know, Tweedles, what you think about it. And is it going to stay? Is it going to last? Who knows?
I do think that this is a really unique opportunity. So I used to be At my old school, Dorothy Ann from Magic School Bus, I used to be a waiter at Alamo Drafthouse, which is a very immersive, like, dine-in movie theater. They curate content before every movie. They do special events for every movie as well. And I think that Disney could take a lesson after Alamo Drafthouse and create more of these immersive pop-up experiences to celebrate current movies that are coming out, especially in studios of all places. I think that would be a genius idea to lean some more budget into that. Because if you think about it, somewhere that does that amazingly, Universal. Universal loves a pop-up immersive experience. And so I think that would be really cool for Disney to kind of lean into this too.
I love that idea. And I wish I love that phrase of leaning into it, because this feels, according to what Kevin said, and you'll have to report back too of what you think about it. He said it looked like sort of an afterthought. Like it was just like, hey, let's throw up some props and then throw up a quick bar. And so if they really, I mean, it's Disney, they can do so much more. I'm starting to like take them to task on this, Disney, of like, if you're going to do something, do it. Don't just put up some tables and chairs and call it a bar. Like, you have to give us something, because we're expecting it now. We're paying higher prices than ever before. And so, go for it. Otherwise, leave it what it was, I don't know.
For sure. And I think that, if it sticks specifically in studios, if you really think about it, Star Wars Launchpad, like, Galaxy's Edge is open. We don't really need Launchpad anymore because it shows movies of like concepts of what Galaxy's Edge was going to be.
Great idea. Yeah.
Let's take all of that out and have it be a standing, rotating pop-up that changes with whatever big releases are about to come out in theaters.
Yeah. Special character meet and greets. Yeah. Specialty food and drinks. I like it. You're hired as far as I'm concerned. I like it.
Thanks.
Well done. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Disney just announced that an all-new Run Disney virtual 12Ks of Christmas races are coming this holiday season. So not much information is available yet, other than that this is the first time that Disney has done a holiday run like this. It is a virtual only. The event will feature 3 4Ks plus a challenge medal if you sign up to do all 3 runs. And the registration opens on July 25th. So coming up very shortly after this episode drops. Oh no, July 25th, not June 25th. July 25th. So you have a month to sign up for this. But kind of exciting. It sounds like they're really pushing to revitalize Run Disney and get a lot more people involved and mixing up the offerings. So I'm wondering though if this is. I feel like I'm such a negative Nancy today. It sounds cute. We don't know what the medals look like yet, but it's so close to the marathon weekend and now the all new or the returning Disneyland half marathon weekend. It feels like it's too many things cramped into one time frame, if that makes sense. Like, man, who has hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month to devote to just getting medals, and virtually too? You're not even doing it on property. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I have never done a Run Disney event before, and I feel like that I experience Run Disney. I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to many Run Disney things, but I feel like that I experience it through you. So I trust your opinion. What I think should happen is if they could bring down that 12K to a 2K and then pay me 2K to run it, I'm in.
Okay, fair. Sold.
Yeah.
Sold on that idea.
Yeah, that's all I need. So we'll be good.
I like it.
Once again, hire me, Disney.
Hired on the spot. All right, we have one more story that you just added today, actually, because I think it sounds like they just announced this today. Is that right?
Yeah. They just announced it. I believe they announced it yesterday, but it started to hit main news circulation today. But Avatar and Avengers sagas have been pushed back for release, Patrick.
I mean...
So Disney fans will have to wait a little longer for some of the top blockbusters after the company announced a reshuffle of its release calendar. The most significant push in the calendar announced on Tuesday is the release of the Avatar movies. Avatar 3 will now be out a year later, on December 19th, 2025. And Avatar 4 moves several years to December 21st, 2009. And Avatar 5 moves to December 2031.
That's
what?
Bananas.
Like, I barely know what I'm going to do tomorrow, let alone what am I going to be doing in 2031. I couldn't tell you.
I'm trying to do the math. I'm like, how old am I going to be? I don't even want to think about it. That's crazy to me.
I know how old I'm going to be, but I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want you to feel some type of way.
I know very specifically how old I'm going to be, and it makes me sad that you're going to be so much younger than me, but it makes me happy for you.
Right? Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. Retinol.
It's okay.
It's fine. Yeah. Also, another part of this is a reshuffle was also announced for a bulk of the Marvel series, most notably Avengers Kang Dynasty has been pushed from May 2025 to May 2026.
I feel like we know why that's happening, though, right?
I think so, too. I am wondering, personally, if that is because of a recasting that might be happening.
I have to believe that's exactly what's going on there. Otherwise, it's bad. It's bad right now with the character Kang. I don't want to speculate too much on it. It's just really disappointing. So that one makes a lot of sense for me. The Avatar one, not so much. If I'm being honest, I barely care about Avatar right now, and so I don't know if I'm invested enough to care or be excited between now and 2025 for the next movie to come out. I don't see it. It's too long of a gap.
It's a long time, in which like I understand that like each of the movies are like a huge, amazing of course, splendor of visualization, but I would say they have to do some type of like mini something in between those times to keep people interested. Like even if they did like a 2D, like if they did like a Star Wars Visions, made it Avatar to kind of keep the lore going of Avatar, maybe add in some, I don't know, some side quest, I don't know.
Something.
But I just don't think that Jake Sully is worth all of this,
okay.
to be honest. Like, I'm tired. Like, we know it's going to involve, like, some guns and some explosions and some cultural appropriation.
Yep.
And we got to wait 10 years for it.
No, thank you. That's a whole generation of people who are going to be like, no, ma'am, by then. If we're already saying it now, they're going to be like, no, shut it down.
Now, I will say I just probably yucked a ton of people's yums, and y'all are going to kick me off the podcast, but...
No, you're not wrong. Everyone gets to like what they like, and you and I happen to be two people who are not the biggest fans of Avatar, and so I'm not on board. Like, push it back further, then I don't care at this point. Ooh, happy Pride, everybody.
You know what we need instead? My Date with the President's Daughter 2. Reallocate those funds, Disney.
Oh, amen.
Pride, your favorite time of year, where you get to buy anything rainbow, where you get to dance in the street, and where you are free to make any innuendo that you would like at any given moment for 30 calendar days.
I mean, that's the best reason right there.
Welcome to Pride, Patrick. How are you doing so far? How's your liver? How's your sleep cycle?
Oh,
how are we doing thus far through Pride?
These are important questions. I'm doing well. This has been a pretty, we stumbled into Pride with some tumultuous news stories, I feel like, but now...
Tumultuous.
But now I'm feeling the Pride this year in a way that I haven't before, and I think it's because of all the like political upheaval that's happening lately, and I'm just feeling like, boy, do we need to get out there and be as prideful as we can these days. So I'm feeling it. What about you?
100%. I completely agree with you. When I went into Pride season, I was really discouraged and honestly kind of nervous.
Yeah.
And then as we've kicked off Pride Month, it was just a huge reminder to me to don't let fear stop you from being visible and stop you from being seen. That was something that was really, really eye-opening to me of how much I had kind of internalized my doom scrolling, and I was scared to leave the house for understandable reasons because people are being wrongfully persecuted.
That's right.
And physically and emotionally attacked in all types of different places. But that doesn't mean that we stop celebrating ourselves. If anything, that encourages us that much more to enlist the spirits of our queer ancestors past and, put our feet to the pavement and, like I said, go dance in the street.
I love that. I'll be very candid and open in that. And I think you and I talked about this a little bit while we were there in Disney. There was some hesitation on my part to is it safe to go to Orlando right now for Pride? Is something going to happen in the parks? You know what I mean? My mind automatically went there, and I hate that we are living in that time. But as I get older and as I progress on my journey of what it means to be gay and to celebrate Pride, like you said, I came to the realization of, we can't let that stop us from being alive, from being visible, from being out. And when I say out, I don't mean necessarily like out of the closet. I just mean out in the world. Like we can't stop. And so whatever happens does happen. And, that's the world that we are living in right now. But I personally am at a place of acceptance for that, of like, I'm ready. I'm ready for the fight, but I'm also ready to not be stopped from having joy in my life. So
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Something that I think is so beautiful about holding both of my identities of being both queer and both Black is that I can say this about my Blackness and my queerness. The struggle exists, but something that is so much greater than the struggle and so much more impactful than the struggle is the joy that I hold with being both Black and with being queer.
Yeah.
And that is something, you get a room full of queer people in the same place, you just can't help but to feel the electricity, the joy, the just so much fun of getting to be around other people who share this identity with you.
Yeah.
It's almost like a breath of fresh air and a kick of adrenaline, right? And it was so beautiful to see so many people that did show up to Gay Days. I know that Equality Florida had released a travel warning, and while I do understand why that travel warning came out, there are parts of me that have a hard time with that travel warning because I think that travel warning ignores all the queer people that are already here in Florida.
Sure.
And it kind of cuts us off from the rest of the queer community throughout the rest of the country. And I've been seeing a lot of people say, like, I'm not going to come to Florida. I'm not going to support Florida with my dollars. And it's like, I totally understand your decision, but also don't forget that there are queer people on the ground here that are also affected by your decisions and also affected by the words that you share. Don't throw away a whole entire state just because our governor is absolutely off his rocker. And, people have said like, well, he won, so there's obviously like something behind him, but don't forget all of the powers of oppression that allowed him to win as well. So
correct.
Instead of talking poorly about Florida, uplift those queer people that that are here on the ground. We're sweating both because it's hot outside and we're sweating because we're trying to make things happen with, local authorities. Also, don't forget, St. Pete Pride is like one of the biggest prides in the country.
Yeah.
Don't forget Tampa has a lesbian mayor. Don't forget about Wilton Manors. Like there are so many queer people here. So just don't forget that. Sorry, I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
No, this is the Pride episode, so you stay on that soapbox for all month long and beyond. Please, and thank you. You're right, though. Yeah, we have to. We can fight the negative, but we cannot ignore the positive, and so both have to exist at the same time. And so we have to be there for each other and be against the oppression and the hate together, though, as well. So. Yeah.
For sure. And I think something that's so beautiful about Gay Days is that there are so many specifically queer cast members. And so it was so fun and so exciting to interact in my red shirt with queer cast members.
Yes.
Throughout our weekend together. And you could tell that there was certain like excitement and a certain amount of relief for those queer cast members to see so many queer people in the park. And I thought it was a really special moment.
100% agree with you. 100%. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll get into all of this. But first, as we kick off our Pride episode, and we kind of are already doing this, but I wanted to get into a little bit of discussion with you about, and we don't have to go like terribly deep for hours and hours and hours, but it is a Pride episode. And what does Pride, I'm actually genuinely curious, and I imagine our Tweedles are as well, but for you, what does Pride look like, and what does it mean for you? And is it different than how it felt last year or 5 years ago?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think Pride for me, just with the way that I grew up and the way that I walk through life with kind of being both Black, both mixed and queer all at the same time. I think for me, pride represents a visualization of all the ways that I am whole and opposite of what mainstream kind of society tells you to be. I think it's a celebration of that. I think it's a celebration of that the human experience can look a lot of different ways, and we have to hold space for every form of the human experience, right? People get to see themselves visibly in all types of different media and all types of different forms. And I think Pride is the month where we as queer people, we get to take advantage and take up space. And not that we shouldn't take up space every month of the year, but it is that dedicated time for us to get a little bit more courage, to get a little bit more louder. It's almost like a global wide moment of just a resurgence of kind of courage. I think that's what Pride means, is a resurgence of courage to be who you are. I felt like that I just talked in circles just then, but
no, that was great. That I love
What's
that.
Your
it
thoughts,
resonates
Patrick?
very deeply with me. Yeah, I'm on kind of the same page with you. It's been a journey with me for Pride. I always think, and I hope that this is not heard in the way that I don't intend it to be heard. So hear me out when I say this. I always feel like me being gay or queer or however you want to identify me, but I just identify as just gay, is like the least interesting thing about me, if that makes sense. However, it does not escape me that we both on one side live in a very privileged society in which I get to be gay and I get to be married and I get to express that love, but I also am worried that it could be taken away very quickly as well on the same side. Yeah. And so I think that's what Pride means to me. It's not necessarily about me being proud of being gay. It's me saying it is important that I am gay and I am not ashamed to be gay, if that makes sense. And so I agree with you that we should be doing it all year long. We should never stop practicing being gay and being out loud and living out loud. But the month of June specifically, I think it is very important that we take a moment to reflect upon who had to lose their lives for us to be in a place that we are now, who may still lose their lives for us to be where we need to be tomorrow. It's the journey and the struggle is very real, but we also need to take a moment and celebrate each other that we are here right now, that we get to be gay right now. We get to be queer. We get to be lesbian. We get to be wherever you land on the spectrum. So all that wrapped up is like, I think you and I are saying the same thing. It's just, we have to celebrate Pride almost. And I think it's just important. We have to, someone has to do it, whether or not you want to, it needs to happen in the world at large.
I really liked what you said about how, we have to be proud of this because it could be taken away. And while I'm sure most queer people agree with this, that most of us could care less what somebody else thinks about our queerness, it does matter to showcase our visibility because it shows other queer people who aren't comfortable with who they are yet that they are not alone. Yeah. I almost look at Pride as a level of both excitement for us who do get to be out and proud, and also encouragement and solidarity for those who don't get to be out and proud too. So
very well said. Yeah, very that. Well, that's it's a great segue actually into, so we were just in Disney World for Gay Days Orlando, Pride in the Parks, basically. Now, with that comes, there's a lot of conversation happening in the world right now, and it kind of happens every June. It's a conversation that is worth having, that is what corporate pride looks like, and also what is the difference between having corporate pride and performative allyship. What do those two things mean to you? So can you describe to our tweeters at home who may not know what maybe performative allyship might be in a corporate setting?
Sure. So basically, kind of within the queer community, the conversation that's happening right now is that, of course, there's a lot of queer products that are being made, or a lot of companies want to showcase their solidarity with their queer community, or what appears to be solidarity with the queer community, by creating products that are specially Pride branded, or changing their ads, or creating some type of brand content moment that is Pride centric during June. And the thing that a lot of queer people have an issue with is that oftentimes those things only occur during Pride Month. And not only that, but a lot of the times, a lot of the queer things or things that are geared towards queer people that are created are taken stereotypes of queer community and queer pop culture and then returns a product that doesn't necessarily benefit the queer community in any way. So what performative allyship or what corporate pride might look like is like a rainbow cup, but all of the proceeds of that rainbow cup just go back to that company, in which there's no queer people in executive leadership and nothing that benefits and furthers the education and the support of queer people. Is how I would describe corporate pride. Now, there are some corporations that do their best with this, with creating, products and things like that. And proceeds of those products go to specific queer businesses or specific queer organizations. And if it's a company that's really, really, really good, they hire queer creators to create that product and then give the proceeds back to the queer community. Now, that's the golden standard. Does it happen most of the time? Absolutely not. No. And that is what I think a lot of queer people don't like. Yeah. I used to be one of those people back in the day that I was like, why is everybody so upset? Like, at least they're doing this. Like, at least I can get my Rainbow Yeti cup. Like, like, I'm not mad. Yeah. But then I started thinking about it, and it really is kind of a half-hearted thing, especially this year when we hear about, like, the things that Starbucks and Target are doing, which it's a hard argument, right? Because I understand that, like, probably the initial thought behind doing those things is to protect their employees, because people are scary right now. We're all unhinged. We all have a bunch of trauma from COVID, and now we're lashing out towards other people that are different than us. But at the same time, like, it is something to think about. Like, is that allyship, these companies that are known for being great places to work for queer people, are they actually great places to work for queer people, or is it all performative?
Sure. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, all of that. I would add on top of, like, the gold standard for me would also include, and maybe you said this and I just didn't hear it, would also include, like, the products being designed by queer designers and out designers who that is their living, and so they also get a kickback from the products as well. Yeah, all of that. I go back and forth on, I am against performative allyship, for sure. Like, let's that. But what it means maybe has been different from year to year for me. So I look at, maybe this is a good segue into Disney and whether or not Disney is performatively being an ally, or are they actually an ally? And I feel like this year, and maybe it's because of what's happening with DeSantis and the Don't Say Gay bill, and Disney, like, really standing their ground on it and investing millions of dollars in lawsuits because of it. It felt different this year with Disney's products in that I don't see it as just slapping a rainbow on something for Disney. Are they doing that? Yeah, they are literally doing that kind of for the month of June. But they do sell these products year round. You just have to dig around to find them. And the products were great this year. And I believe quite a few designers on the products were queer designers, which is really great to see. And I think a lot of them next year will be as well, or at least some of them, from what I understand. Yeah. So that's great to see. And Disney actually feels like, being in the parks this year, felt like they were actually celebrating Pride more than ever this year, with all of their photo opportunities and the cast members saying Happy Pride. And I know that the proceeds are going to Disney, and I also do know that they do donate a lot year-round to organizations that help queer communities, and they are always scoring very high on the HRC gold standards. So they're in a tough spot because they are, like, the biggest corporation around, and they are celebrating during June. But June happens to be Pride Month, so you know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like I'm talking in circles. So, like, when else are you going to really, really celebrate Pride other than in June? Because we have designated June culturally as Pride Month. So, of course, they're going to sell it during Pride Month. But it felt, I don't know, it felt really nice being in the parks this year during Pride. I felt welcomed. I felt like it was an actual inclusive atmosphere. I never felt othered or looked down upon or anything. What about you? How did you feel being in the parks? Did Disney do a good job? Where are you with Disney and Pride?
Yeah, so I share very similar sentiments to you. I think for me personally, before this year, I think that I felt like that Disney was a little bit of performative allyship. Mm-hmm. I know that Disney has had a long history with being there for the queer community, as in like, a lot of queer performers, and have hired a lot of queer people to make some of our biggest blockbusters, and things like that. But also exactly what you're saying. We take Mickey, we turn him rainbow, and then all of a sudden it's a Pride product. But I think a lot of Disney's stances that they've taken to stand up against Ron DeSantis, and then to invite the governor of California to Pride Night at Disneyland, which happened just like a couple of nights ago, and the governor show up, and just like a lot of the things that they have been doing has really been pushing the envelope, I feel like. And I also think creating a strange world this year, which unfortunately didn't get the hype that it should have gotten behind the movie, but for them to invest their dollars into more queer representation in their movies. If you think about the Baymax shorts, you think about Turning Red, you think about a lot of stuff that they've released in the past year have been creating a lot of conversations about queer representation within specifically media geared towards children. I do appreciate that. I will say that something that I need from them, just to say like, hey, I see you, you're doing great. This is something that I need from you. Yeah. I need them to outright on their rainbow products or on their Pride products, showcase where the money towards those Pride products is going. I understand that probably with the company as big as Disney, not 100% of the products are going to go anywhere, which I think that they could pull it off. But that's something my company does a really good job of, is that whenever we create a product that's specifically for underrepresented groups of people, we share proactively what percentages of the proceeds go towards that underrepresented people. And we also share specifically what organizations we're donating to. So it would just be great if there's an additional tag on these Pride products, or additional just like infographic somewhere that showcases things that they're donating to. Especially this year, I would have loved to see the Pride products and Co-op and World of Disney specifically say certain percentage of this is going towards Equality Florida. That would have been amazing.
What's interesting is that they used to do that. Strangely, they used to donate, I believe it was to Glisten for a very long time. They were donating a percentage of, not 100%, I don't believe, but a percentage of at least. And they didn't, I don't know if they're not doing it this year, but they're not calling it out this year, which is very interesting. An interesting move. It feels like a miss. I'm sure there are reasons, but I think now more than ever, we're at a time where it's like, you need to show us the receipts, and we need to know the reason why.
Right.
Because you cannot be seen as a company that is doing performative allyship. You have to like really get out there. And so if there is a very specific reason, we're grown ups. Let us know. Let us know what it is. Was it a risky move this year? And you did, I get it. We're all in weird, precarious times right now. So who knows? If you're a Tweedle out there who happens to know the answer to this, please let us know, because we are very, very curious. Very, very curious. But I agree with you 100%.
Something else that I think would be really interesting is I think one of the best ways to overcome performative allyship is to showcase the hard numbers of queer people that are in your workforce. And not just queer people that are in your workforce, but queer people that are in your leadership, senior leadership and above, executive, board members. We got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Disney's next step needs to be, because they're showing up now for Pride. You mentioned that Disneyland just had their Pride night, and from what I've seen, it was incredible. Every story I'm hearing from the queer community who was there, a lot of our Tweedles, I believe Chris from Marshall Thinking was there, said it was absolutely incredible. Things that you have never seen before in parks Disney was doing at Disneyland, that they just went for it, and it was successful. So hopefully this will translate into them bringing it to Disney World next year. Remains to be seen.
Here's hoping.
But beyond that, I feel like a way to really that Disney needs to start doing is kind of along the lines you were saying, is representation. Now, we need it in the movies more. We need it in we need to be seen on screen. We can't have almost gay characters. We can't, we can't have quietly gay characters.
Yeah.
They need to be very, very out, very, very proud, very, very gay. Otherwise, you're just stuck in the mud until you start doing that, in my opinion.
Looking at the writers of Frozen, Elsa better have a girlfriend in Frozen 3. I'm just saying.
I mean,
she better have a girlfriend. She better be conjuring up an icicle Subaru. I shouldn't have said that. We should cut that out. That's playing on stereotypes. I shouldn't have said that.
Listen, the lesbians, we know we are in love with our lesbian friends, and we saw many of them this week.
That's true. That's true.
Well, let's talk about that now. So we're here to talk about Pride, but we're also here to recap sort of our experience with Gay Days Orlando 2023 within the parks. We were in Disney World. You were there with us on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Me and my friend Matt were there on Thursday, so we were there for all 4 days of Animal Kingdom on Thursday, Hollywood Studios on Friday. Correct me if I'm wrong on these. It's been a blur. Walt Disney World, or Magic Kingdom, I'm already lost. Magic Kingdom on Saturday, and then Epcot on Sunday. So, yep. Brian, you had never really celebrated Pride in the parks before. This was kind of your first Gay Days experience.
This was my very first Gay Days.
Walk me through it. What did you think? What were your initial thoughts of it? Like, what was your experience?
It was magical. I loved every single minute of it. It was so fun, first of all, to spend it with you, of course, because this was the most amount of time that you and I have spent together, like physically together before. And so that was really fun.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, it was just amazing to not only meet queer people from all over the world that were there specifically for Gay Days, but also to see so many local Orlando people that I know that are queer that are specifically showed up to the parks for that weekend too. Like there's people who I know that like don't really care for Disney that much. And I saw them in the parks and they were having the time of their lives. So
I love that.
I thought it was a really cool event. Granted, I didn't go to any of the ticketed events that are outside of the parks. But
same.
I still had so much fun. I would like to do that next year, maybe at least go to one of the events. But it was so cool. It was just, there was just like a little bit of extra magic in the air. I felt like everybody was just hype,
I agree. There was something different this year. I had been there. I was there last year for it, and I had been to a Disneyland sort of red shirt days is what they're calling it for Orlando as well. And it did seem a little bit extra this year, a little bit more pixie dust in the air, specifically on that Saturday in the Magic Kingdom, which tends to be the larger populated day anyways. The Magic Kingdom is sort of the day to get all those photos and to be together as a queer community. And the sea of red shirts that was happening was really inspiring to see this year. They were out in force. I was so proud to see it. It was really beautiful. And something that I noticed this year, I don't know if it was a conscious effort, and not that I would have blamed anyone who doesn't identify as LGBTQ plus wearing a red shirt, but a lot of them were not wearing red shirts, but wearing, and I mean our straight allies, were wearing, but still wearing shirts that were queer content or had queer support on them, like protect trans kids, protect queer kids, protect, which was really interesting to see. And I asked a couple of people who I didn't know. I just was like, hey, can I just ask you, I love your shirt. Is there a conscious effort to not wear a red shirt? And a couple of them said, yes, we don't want to take your identity from you. Your identity today is wearing the red shirt and being visible as who you are. We are not that. So sweet. I thought that was so evolved and so thoughtful. I loved to see it. So the allyship is getting so much better. We take a few steps back every once in a while, but like the thoughtfulness behind allyship is so strong and so many people. So thank you. I know we have lots and lots of allies who listen to the show. We thank you. We honestly, literally and truly would not be here without your support. So keep doing it. Keep showing up. We love to see it. It's great.
100%. I completely agree. Something that I thought was so cool was the amount of shirts that said like proud grandma or proud auntie free mom hugs. Oh my gosh, there were so many free mom hug shirts, and I almost went up and hugged somebody, but I was afraid I was going to cry, and I was like, I'm wearing my shorts. I gotta look cute and composed. But it was so cool to see so many, just like exactly what you're saying, different types of people that showed up to support the queer community for Red Shirt Day, and I felt like maybe just given everything that's happened this year, Red Shirt Day was that much more meaningful for a lot of people who showed up in the parks, and you could just feel it. You could really, really feel it.
You could feel it. And there was just a positive energy in the air this year, too. Like, I didn't really see any. I'm sure they were having, maybe I was just in my gay bubble, but it just felt really positive. I didn't see a lot of meltdowns or like arguments happening that you usually do see during Disney. And I definitely overheard a lot of people saying that same sentiment of like, it just, everyone feels like they're on their best behavior because we're all here together. We, when we were at photo opportunities to take at the Pride walls that each of the parks had, like everyone was just trading opportunities to take pictures for each other and was so kind. It was just, everyone worked as one, it felt like.
Cheering
in the parks.
each other on.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I loved it. There was this one couple. They were a little bit of a younger couple. And they were taking their picture, and our group was like, yes, work. Just like yelling at them and cheering them on and making them laugh, which I really hope that like their laughter created some really big, beautiful pictures for them. But that was one of my favorite parts, are just people randomly walking up and being like, I love your shirt, happy Pride, or people having like all types of different flags that were like tied around their neck like a cape. Like we saw some like asexual representation, some demisexual representation. And I love that they had space to celebrate Pride too.
Absolutely. Everybody showed up as themselves. Everybody showed up just sporting the way they wanted to sport the red shirt too, and really like giving their personal style and their personal flair. It just felt really supportive. It was, gays really did the D this year. I feel like
they really did it. Yes, they really did it.
It was amazing. So let's talk about some of the people who we did get to hang out with in the parks. Ryan, anyone you want to specifically shout out to?
Sure. I want to shout out our little crew that did a little bit of bar crawling together. So first of all, a couple of friends that you had that were new friends to me. I want to shout out Justin and Jack. It was my first time meeting them, and it was so, so lovely. And it's just great to meet other queer people specifically who live in Central Florida. We got to stick together right now. So Justin and Jack, if you're listening,
yes.
You weren't expecting it, but you're locked into this friendship now. And then I also want to shout out your friend Matt, who I did not know before this trip. And I felt like by day 3, me and Matt had known each other our whole entire lives. So
best friends.
Shout out to Matt.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kevin and Brian, my ride or dies out of Tampa, first of all.
Yeah.
And I'm actually seeing Kevin and Brian, our Pride festivities continue onward. Next weekend, I'm going to go spend the weekend with them, and we're going to St. Pete Pride, which I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah.
And of course, Chris from Wishful Thinking. We always love Chris, and always, one of my favorite things about going to the parks with Chris was he was always making that content. Like, it was like, we would be like, where's Chris? And Chris was like taking videos of bubbles, like.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that too. And then lastly, I want to shout out a few of my friends from Central Florida that we bumped into. Of course, Jake. My friend Jake used to do cosmetology for all of the Disney princesses in the parks. And Jake has moved on to being on Anastasia's national tour and is now moving to Atlanta.
Wow.
Let me tell you, Disney, do whatever you can to get Jake back into Central Florida again, but he's in love. So it's like, okay, go do you.
Fair.
I understand why you're moving to Atlanta, but I wish him and his boyfriend would just move back to Florida. And then lastly, Josh and Danny and Hector and Nelson, and special shout out to Baby Dash. We bumped into them after Festival of Fantasy. And of course, all either cast members currently or have been previous cast members before. All wonderful people, and they've also held me down in Central Florida since I got here in 2020.
Aww.
So I just appreciate all those friendships. Who about you? Do you want to shout out anybody?
I love it. Yeah. Well, everyone you mentioned. So yeah, our little family that we hung out with, Justin and Jack, and Matt and Chris from Wishful Thinking, and you, of course. We just had like this little magical family that we just hung out with all weekend. And it was a group of people who some of you had never met before. I had known for years and years and years. It was just a really good alchemy of people, I felt like, that we were hanging out with. So I want to thank all of them really specifically. I want to give Justin and Jack a little bit of a shout out. Specifically because, and he's going to kill me for saying this, but they are admittedly not necessarily the most pride-going people in the whole world. And, you know, we all have our own journeys and places and levels of comfort. And they're not like hidden or in the closet or anything, but it's just not necessarily their jam all the time. And I think he would agree with that. But he and I were talking, and because of like the environment that we all had together, and because of what Disney provided, I imagine they had the best time. And this is coming from Justin specifically, and Jack said so too, I believe, that they just had a really, really wonderful time and did some things that were maybe out of their comfort zone a little bit, and really appreciated it. So I appreciate the two of you for going out of your comfort zone and going with us on the journey, because we had such a wonderful time with you. It was amazing. Also, as you mentioned, I got to meet your friends, Kevin and Brian, who are also frequent contributors here on the podcast. They write in quite often, and they are some people, you know, you and I talked about this. As we get older in our lives and meet new people, you can kind of tell immediately who's your person and who's not your person. And I was like, immediately, it was like, you guys, we're going to be friends. Like, it's happening, whether or not you want it to happen, we're going to be friends. So I really appreciated being with them. I can't wait to hang out with them again. I know that they're going to be constant people that I reach out to when I'm in Florida. So thank you for providing such a wonderful time and experience. And thank you for being friends with them, Ryan, because you introduced me to them. And then some... Of course. And then some Tweedles that we met in the parks. Two hopefully new listeners I got to meet in line at Hollywood Studios, Trey and Chris, who recently got married, and they were celebrating their marriage in the parks during Gay Day. So congratulations, fellas.
Gosh, that's so exciting.
Very exciting, very exciting. I got to finally meet one of our Tweedles who goes by the handle Typical Eeyore. He and his buddies were in queue. Come on, Typical Eeyore. Not so typical, I would say, Eeyore. He and his buddies were hanging out in queue for Tron, and we happened to catch eyes. We're like, I know you from Instagram. So, hello. Thank you for being a Tweedle. It was great to meet you. And then one of our frequent contributors, Gray-Eyed Wolfie, was also. He's always in the parks. We always see him when he's there, but it was a delight to see him and his friends at Epcot. So hello, fellas. Beyond that, of course, Chris from Merciful Thinking, you know, always a pleasure to hang out with. He's so full of knowledge. And he was working. You guys were,
He was working. He was booked.
He was booked and blessed. A lot of you Tweedles are using him for your travel agent to Disney, and I think some of you were reaching out to him as he was in line with us for some rides. So how very dare you for taking away from our time with Chris, but thank you for using his services at the same time. So yeah, it was fun. We met so many people. We hung out with so many people. It was great.
So many people in passing. So many people asked for a button. It was like so much fun.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. We, of course, missed hanging out with Kale and JT. We have to give a shout out to them. They wanted to be there, but couldn't be there.
We missed y'all so much. There's going to be a time where the four of us were all in the same space, all at the same time.
I know.
Manifesting it, and it's going to happen before 2024.
I'm with you. I'm on board.
Just let it happen.
Fully on board.
In addition to that, thinking about that, I would love, of course, Kale and JT know this, but I've been trying to convince all four of us to go to Dollywood together so that we're in a theme park, but it's not Disney. And I just think it'll be so much fun. And I would be interested to hear if any of our listeners have gone to the wonders that is Dollywood. Dare I say, outside of Disney World, I think it is my favorite park in America. I said it.
Oh, all right.
I threw it out there.
I'm sold. Yeah, I'm sold.
If you've been to Dollywood and you've had that cinnamon bread, please leave a comment on this episode.
I need to go. Everyone says that I need to go, and I love Dolly, and I love theme parks, and I love cinnamon bread. So all these things together.
Experience all those things.
Well, speaking of, what are some things that you we dined a lot and drank a lot together? Any highlights for you on this trip? I know that you're there a lot in the parks, but did anything stand out for you, food and drink wise?
In the parks a lot. I don't think that there was anything that I experienced that was brand new to me. We hit kind of my usuals and my favorites.
Yeah.
I will say the focaccia bread was hitting. The focaccia bread at what's the Italian restaurant that we went to?
Via Napoli.
Via Napoli. I don't think that I had the focaccia bread before at Via Napoli, but Via Napoli is always so good. I went to Via Napoli actually with JT the last time that JT was in Orlando as well. I would say there wasn't too much new that I experienced, but there is a really, really adorable like Orangeburg collection that's out right now for Flower and Garden. I bought my first Corksicle. And it's so cute. There's one of the orange birds that's on the Corksicle is wearing sunglasses and like is lounging behind beside a rainbow. And I think I want that as my next tattoo. So watch this space. Ooh. I'll report back if I actually get the orange bird tattoo, but I think it's so cute.
I love that. It's your color palette as well. So it's perfect.
I also love, if you don't know the history of Orange Bird, it started from a very homophobic woman. And I feel like the gays have been reclaiming Orange Bird, and I, for one, am thankful.
You better reclaim that bird for sure.
We better reclaim it. What about you? What were new experiences for you?
I had quite a few when it comes to food and drinks. I hit up the regulars, the Baseline Tap House, Olga's Cantina, Brown Derby. I will say Brown Derby on the patio for a martini flight is something one must do in their lifetime.
Oh, I've never done that before.
It's really good. I did that with Justin and Matt on one of our last days there. We just sat and had martini flights for a couple of hours and had like a cheese plate. It was great. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, that sounds dreamy.
I did get to try Roundup Rodeo Barbecue in Hollywood Studios. Here's what I'll say. Go do it. It's incredible. It is $45 for a prefix menu. So not too bad. It's a little pricey, but not terrible. But you get an insane amount of food with it. So you get, as a table, there are like 3 different salads that come out. There's a bread service that comes out. I think there's like 5 different meats that come out as well for the main entree, with a bunch of different sides like macaroni and barbecue beans and cold. It's just all the fixins you would want at a barbecue. And it's actually really good food too. It's not just like...
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's. I would say it's even a little bit better barbecue than Sam Eagle in Epcot.
Ooh,
I know, which is pretty good. It's not necessarily authentic to a T, but it's good. It's definitely making the effort. It's pushing the envelope a little bit for Disney food. So and a bunch of desserts, and it's themed like from floor to ceiling, like as Toy Story Land is. So it does not drop the ball there. It's extraordinary. We had amazing service there. We had the best time. We laughed and ate just for hours and hours. So I highly recommend Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. I think it's probably in my top 5 restaurants on property now. It's really great. Yeah, really great.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
I recommend it. I want to know your thoughts. And then I had to say, not a hidden gem, but I'm surprised I haven't been there. But on the boardwalk, there's a restaurant called Trattoria Al Forno. It is... Right, it's connected to what's that bar? The Abracadabra. It is incredible. It used to be a character meet and greet. It is no longer a character meet and greet meal, but the food is amazing. Specifically, we went for breakfast. It's amazing food, just really amazing coffee. I had the meal called the El Forno Eggs, which was like 3 just over easy eggs that came with country bread and a spicy tomato sauce and cheese. Enormous meal. Couldn't finish it. It was so much food. But it only came, I think, with that and coffee and juice, I think, to like $17 for breakfast. I was like, what? Am I really paying only $17 for it? So I really recommend it. But maybe don't go, because I want to get a table every time I'm there now. So maybe don't make it too popular that I can't get into it. But
you see Patrick standing outside with a chainsaw, like ready to fight anybody.
I will fight. I think it's definitely going to be like a new try to go there every time I'm there kind of a restaurant.
I love that.
Very delicious. Fully recommend it. So other than that,
I feel like the boardwalk gets slept on sometimes when it comes to food and drink. The boardwalk is slamming.
Much. The boardwalk is absolutely great. Justin and I did a little. We were signed up to do the virtual 5K, the summer series, and so we were like, "Hey, we're on property. Let's just run around the boardwalk." And so we did that for our morning jog, and it was really beautiful and delightful. And then there's like a cute little bakery after you're done to get some coffee and some pastries. So fully recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out then.
Absolutely. What else? What were any other firsts for you on this trip beyond food or experiences that were a real highlight for you on the trip?
I loved the shirts. There were so many, because we love a good shirt in Epcot. We love a good Disney shirt that makes a pun. There was even more gay pun shirts, and I really loved that. Outside of that, it was like just a wonderful weekend to just like spend with y'all. It was my first time in Oga's in a long time. That was really magical. It was so nice to be in Oga's too. Like, it felt a little bit slower and not just as jam-packed. I went to Oga's kind of around the time that it had just opened and hadn't been in a minute. And it had closed a while for our COVID too. So went right when it opened back up. So it was just nice to be in Oga's on a regular day,
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that was pretty much all of my new experiences kind of summed up. I would say overall, so much fun. I've learned that you and I are ultimate park pals together.
Yes.
I've also learned that you can never meet Patrick and meet a stranger. You can never be with Patrick and meet a stranger. Such a warm, welcoming soul. Aww. And I also learned that I need to leave my debit card in the car if I'm going to be drinking.
Oh no. Fair. That's a fair assessment. We did some drinking while we were there. That's not
just a little bit.
That's not a lie.
LaCroix, of course.
Just water, sparkling water,
spicy water,
a little spicy water. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. What else for me was? Oh, you know what? I went on Tron for the first time, which was really fun.
Okay, so I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I know this isn't queer content, but it is Tron content. So here we go. I really loved it. It's as everyone says, it's a short ride. She's a short one. She's quick. She's in and out. But it's a great thrill ride for Magic Kingdom, is what I would say. Is it like the thrilliest thrill ride that's ever happened? Absolutely not. No. But it is unique. It is a different experience. They're pushing the envelope with what a ride can look like now. I think that's all great. And you have to remember that it's the Magic Kingdom. You can't have, like the Incredicoaster or not the Incredicoaster, but the Incredible Hulk coaster that's in Universal Studios. It can't be too wild because it has to be kid friendly. So sure. It makes sense that it's in the Magic Kingdom. I understand those reasons now of why it's there and not an Epcot. If it was an Epcot, it would probably be, it'd be a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of a ride that a lot of people can't go on because it's crazy.
For sure.
I do have questions about Tron in that I have to imagine, and maybe you know more than I do, but I have to imagine that it is maybe the least inclusive ride when it comes to abilities and body types.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So I wonder if they're getting called to task on that. And maybe they are able to accommodate more than I think that they are, but my one ride on it, I was like, I cannot imagine being somebody who maybe is unable to walk or maybe doesn't have the capabilities to pull down these restraints or maybe does not fit into this. Is quite a tight fit. So, and I'm a small person, so I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely agree with you. So some of my friends that fit into some of those categories, less physically abled or maybe a different body type, have shared that complaint as well. Okay. And I definitely see it. There are special cars within certain trains that accommodate for both of those differences. I think that there's enough? No. So they definitely, I would say there needs to be a whole train of cars that, are positioned for those special accommodations. But I would definitely 100% agree with you. Okay. Did you ride it at night?
I didn't. That was the one thing I wish I had done, but I did ride it. Yeah. But I imagine it is a very different ride at night than it is during the day.
Such a different experience. It's probably one of the only rides I've ever ridden that was a completely different experience at night versus during the daytime. Okay. But the lights really do make a complete difference, especially whenever you're out of the initial launch. And it sounds like such a small thing to factor in, but like when you do it, you'll understand what I'm saying. There's some special features that the lights do that I've never thought about lights doing in a roller coaster before, and is really cool.
Interesting. On the flip side of that, my friend Justin and I did get stuck on the Carousel of Progress for about 20 minutes or so in the very last holiday scene. We were, collectively, the audience that was on that ride were slowly starting to lose their minds, and it became a little bit Lord of the Flies situation in there. So I don't recommend getting stuck on the Carousel of Progress ever.
Yeah. Speaking of inclusivity, that's a ride that Disney could spruce up.
That is the most ironic title of a attraction ever, because there's no progress happening on that ride.
No progress.
No progress. Oh dear. But back to the Pride. I echo your sentiments. It was really lovely to see all the shirts and all of the camaraderie that was happening, and to bond with you more than we have before. It was such a great, I mean, like, I knew that we were already fast friends, but like we became faster and deeper friends than ever. So I wouldn't have changed that for the world. You and I, we had some deep conversations on this trip, unexpectedly. Like, we were like, oh, did we just go there? Okay, we did. We sure did. Yeah, and I would say the same. Like, you are such an inclusive person to go to the parks with. You know people wherever you go, and if you don't, you will know them by the end of the day. So it's just great. It was really fun. Yeah, no, thank you. It reminds me why we're all here on this podcast together, because we love the community that we are hopefully a part of and building, right?
Oh, 100%. I completely
100%. Well, what else? Any closing thoughts and shots on Gay Days Orlando?
My closing thoughts are I didn't get to kiss Prince Naveen at Gay Days. And I could have gone for a sweet smooch from Prince Naveen.
I do know somebody who is friends with Prince Naveen, so maybe we can make that happen still.
Well, if he wants to give me a sweet smooch in costume, I won't say no.
In costume, specifically in costume.
That makes a difference. It's the Festival of Fantasy, after all.
It is the Festival of Ryan's Fantasy, that's for sure.
Okay.
I love it.
What about you?
Yeah, I would say go celebrate Pride in the parks. Go do it. I think it's a wonderful time. It was surprisingly not very busy, which was nice. It's right before school lets out for a lot of people, so it's actually a really good timing to have it at the beginning of June, because it gives a lot of the queer community access to go to the parks, because a lot of us don't have children. So you can go and play in the parks. But yeah, like I said at the beginning of the segment, take a page out of Justin and Jack's book and put yourself in an uncomfortable position, something that you're not necessarily used to. I think you're going to surprise yourself during Gay Days Orlando, and it is for everybody, right? We saw families, we saw singles, we saw people being a little bit scandalous, we saw not at all scandal. Like, it was just the whole spectrum was represented during Gay Days Orlando, and we were here for it. So I appreciate it.
Go have fun, be merry, be gay,
merry. Be if you were there for Gay Days Orlando, or if you have been there, or if you have questions about it, or if you're concerned about it, whatever you have for us, let us know your thoughts, your opinions, your questions. You can reach out to us on the social medias at GDTD Podcast, or you can always send us a voice memo. We haven't had one in a while, or an email to info@gaysdothe.com. Well, we did it, Ryan. We were gay.
We did it.
We were gay. Any other, like, I wish? Give me an I wish from Gay Days.
From Gay Days? I'm going to stick to I wish Prince Naveen would have given me a sweet smooch. I'm going to stick to
You know what? I wish he would have too. I would have watched that.
Needs a smooch.
I'll watch that kiss. I'm into that. I'll be a voyeur. That's right. I'll be a voyeur on Gay Days.
Only frogs.
I'll be your only frog. Gay Ryan.
Gay Patrick.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Boots the house down, Ma.
Boots the house down. Pride, Quick D. Okr. Are we ready for this?
Okr.
Oh,
I'm ready.
But once again, we have crowdsourced our tweedles for some quick D questions, and we have a couple of them. I think we have time for 2. What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's do 2.
Okay, let's do 2. All right, we are going to. I'm picking this one.
It's a twofer.
Oh, it's from. It's a twofer. Sorry. We have surprise, surprise at Sean Cruz.
Come on, Sean.
Come on, Sean. So at Sean Cruz says, if you had a Disney sidekick in real life and they couldn't leave your side, who would it be and why?
What's the raccoon's name from Pocahontas?
Oh, Miko.
I would select Miko, first of all, because our apartment complex has tons of raccoons. Like, there was literally a raccoon walking up my stairs the other day when I left the apartment, and it looked at me dead square in my face. But I'm going to select Miko because his love of cookies and his tiny hands.
Oh, adorable. What do people call it? They call them trash pandas? Garbage pandas?
Trash pandas. I love raccoons. I follow this Instagram account called Raccoon Affirmations, and it's just like random affirmations with a picture of a raccoon on them, and it's so good.
I love it. Raccoons scare me. I'm not going to lie to you. They frighten the crap out of me. What about you? Know what? I'm going to go with Pocahontas as well and say Percy, that gay dog Percy. That's what I'm going to do.
Percy.
You know I love a gay dog.
He's so judgmental.
Come on, Percy. That's why I love him. I need like the yin to my yang. Because I'm judgmental, but not like on the outside. Like that's not my poker face, but his poker face is judgmental. So he'll just like look like how I'm feeling at all times.
The side eye, the
judginess of it all. He's going to be like, "Do you need to eat that right now, Patrick?" I don't think, and then that'll be great. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of dog. That's the kind of dog I need. A life coach dog, really, is what it is.
Is Walt judgmental at all to you?
No, Walt, God bless him, is not smart enough to have judgment in his life. He's just he's brand new, Ryan. He's brand new to this world. This is his first go round.
Baby himbo.
Mm-hmm. It's his first go round. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Wrong with that.
No, not at all. All right, let's move on to our next question from @kenny.cafe asking, all right, we're getting a little scandalous here on Gays Do the D. Who would you choose to be your Disney daddy? Oh my stars.
My Disney daddy. So many good options.
You know who I would choose? Okay.
Who?
Come for me on this one, but I would choose Roger from the 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, okay. I see it.
I think that might be a good one. He's serving music. He's serving dad vibes. He smokes a pipe. I'm into it.
Mm-hmm. You want him to tickle your keys?
I want him to tickle my ivories, and he doesn't mind like a lot of people around. Like he likes groups. That's what I'm going to say. He likes.
I like that.
Okay, so Roger for me. What about you?
I am going to say the daddy that I choose. Follow me here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to pick Zeus from Hercules.
Ooh, good choice. Okay.
The reason why I pick Zeus are that his pecs are as big as the clouds that he sits on. And I want to motorboat them.
And he sits on some big clouds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly that. Mm-hmm. I want to go to Olympus. I want him to Olympus me.
Yes, you want to scale Mount Olympus for sure. Absolutely.
I want to scale Mount Olympus for sure.
Totally into it.
It's all Greek to me, baby.
And he's got a hot son too. Let's not forget.
Oh.
Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride.
We're still keeping our family rating. We're cutting it there.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Alrighty, y'all, that will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us to continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook and Instagram at GDTD Podcast. Also, submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everyone, and see you real soon.